Sega Master System 2, just like this is our second attempt at recording the show today. All right, welcome to episode 146 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me today is our small band, a group of friends, Steven.
Hello from the other side.
And Chase.
I come from a land down under.
Literally. Chris is still off living his best life, ignoring us. And Rachel is having some fun, well-deserved, after bad storms down in South Florida. Thankfully, her and her family seem to have come through it okay. And, hopefully she's getting a chance to kind of chill out for a little bit. But she'll join us at some other point in the future. All right. So let's jump into what we've been doing, because we've been gone for a little while. Last week, we did not have a show. We just put up the extra quarter episode all about Gears of War. Hopefully you've gotten a chance to listen to that or maybe watch it on YouTube. Don't worry, we don't get any money from it because apparently it got copyright striked by the music in the very beginning, but whatever, you can still enjoy it. But yeah, so let's jump into what we've been up to. And Chase, let's start with you this week. What you been doing, man?
Not a whole lot. I borrowed Chanel's copy of Astrobot, so I've been playing that. Got past the first Nebula into the second one.
So much fun, isn't it?
It is. I really enjoy it.
It's a really good platformer.
It's odd. It's really odd how a game like that is just like, it's almost like a breath of fresh air when you feel like it's such a game like that should be such kind of like, very like a novelty, right? It's weird how the industry is so weird nowadays. But then last night played some Demio with Jeremy, Brent, and Shanoa, and Brent was probably slightly inebriated, but that's okay. That's how we like him. I enjoyed Demio a lot, actually. It's like just good fun. Like it's simple. It's like it's not hard to just bring somebody new into it and be like, hey, join us in a game. This is how you play. It's great.
It's a fun little tabletop. That's the first time I got to play a full 4-player mode in VR. So I'm like moving the board around, getting down there, looking at stuff, and
get out of my face. So you're in my face. I was here first.
I was having a lot of fun with it. You can pick up the little figures and stuff, and then wave them in front of the view of other people in VR. So I'm like, look at this. And Brent's like, what the fuck? Stop it.
Yeah. And then last but not least, and I will do my best not to gush, but we finally completed the campaign of Space Marine 2 last week, and good lord, that game was fucking amazing. I had the biggest grin ear to ear like the entire time we were playing it. It's really like, I'm just really happy for Saber because they've made a lot of really good games, and that they just got out from under Embracer. Mm-hmm. They've got their independence now. They've made this amazing new game. And, I just hope all the best for them. But it's quite a testament to a game, though, when you make a game that's based off of a license, like an IP. And now, because of Space Marine 2, so many people are just getting into Warhammer now. Like, they're looking up all these Warhammer games. I think, what was it? Fat Shark came out and said because of Space Marine 2, Dark Tide's getting like a bunch of players now. Like,
I just went and found this today, Vermintide.
Yeah. Sega took advantage of it because I think Sega's who owns Relic Entertainment now, and Relic Entertainment's who made Dawn of War 1, 2, and 3. So they re-released Dawn of War 1 and 2 anniversary editions just to capitalize on the hype. I was like, it's great. Like, it's such a good game, and it's very wholesome to see how well it's doing and how much like exposure it's getting. So
you say wholesome game. Say what?
I said a wholesome visceral game where we're stomping heads and ripping off tails and bodies.
You can call it wholesome, but the game itself, not so much. You were ripping some shit apart.
No, I'm just happy for Saber overall. They made a lot of really good games, and so them getting out from Embracer is awesome.
Yep, and we'll have to talk more about that today as well, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so Steven, what about you? What have you been doing?
Well, I've
Wait,
gotten
wait. Let me guess. Let me guess.
Oh,
I think it's Multi-Zone Zero and Zenless Versus. Right?
Yeah.
it all
No.
it all blurs together at this point. Yeah.
I have been keeping up with my dailies. I have to. It's just what you do. But I've had some disruptors now. I made sure to catch up, just not this week, with Agatha all along. I heard this week was a big one, so I'm gonna have to watch it.
It was.
Yes, we finished Space Marine 2, and because I'm even saying the words, my phone is listening, and I'm in the algorithm. I'm getting nothing but lore from the game itself that we're playing, including two things. One of them is when the game got an update, they added a line that wasn't in there before, which I'll tell you guys about afterwards.
Oh, okay.
It's spoilerish.
Ah.
But the other thing that was cool is they said there's a scene where you see that they've collected a army together ready to go into battle. And they said if you pause and you are a Warhammer player, Saber made sure that the whole army they show is 2,000 points. Exactly.
I think I saw somebody else look at that and they were like, it was close. They went over a little bit with some of the stuff, but like, it's still
another
really
guy checked
neat.
and he said it was 2,000 points. So he's just like, kudos to Saber Interactive for doing that.
That's a good bit of detail if that's the case. Even if it's close, that's still really
And then
cool.
I've been learning about some of the other things that we bypassed that I've been learning the lore about that I was just like, I should have been more impressed with in the background. But including a spot where we didn't notice that there was bodies falling from the sky. I missed that.
Jeez.
There's one level where there's just tons of bodies falling from the sky, and we were too busy killing. So I was like, okay,
we were causing war.
Yeah.
Oh, God, the one thing I found out about that kind of messed with me, we won't say who, but you see a guy die early mission, and then they have like a memorial for him later. And then if you go to a spot, you listen to him, he's the guy, I guess they stuck into a sarcophagus, and then that's what went into that big robot thing that we saw. And I was like,
the Dreadnought.
I got the backstory on that. And I was like, oh, that's dark as hell.
Yeah.
So that might have been the guy in there the whole time. I'm like, okay.
But the Dreadnought apparently is the nice version of that, because the Hell Brute is the horrible version.
Yeah.
Because that one, like, they don't get to rest or sleep or anything. They just have to do that forever.
Yeah, the Dreadnought, they shut them down or put it, in between fights so they don't go insane. Yeah. The other one, they're just like, get in there. Oops, you're stuck.
Like, right.
The attention to detail that Saber put in the game was absolutely incredible.
I keep finding out more stuff for it. Like I've not had a big interest in Warhammer until now. Like I'm not gonna probably play the board game. That's too much for my blood with all my other expensive hobbies. But I'd love
to get into it.
Yeah, I've just been exploring the hell out of it.
Other than that, a lot of stuff came out in the last few days. So there was Power Wash Simulator Shrek. So Chris and I are starting to go through that. And of course, his computer is not giving him credit for anything we complete. So it's just making it that we can play it, but then like he can't share the experience with anybody. It's weird. The Darkstalkers Gala is going on right now in Street Fighter 6, where you can unlock all the parts to a John Talbane, who just has Blanca's moves. But if you get the Battle Pass, you also get the Night Warriors arcade game in the arcade, a bunch of other cool stuff, some music. So I've been stooging for him. He's helped me with Multiverses, so I've been helping him just say, hey, come fight me and kill me for kudos to unlock your stuff in Street Fighter 6. Nice. I'm still waiting for my Into the Pit. It's on everything but Switch right now because they don't know why. They're looking into it. I want to play that before Halloween. I'd like to play that for Halloween. Hello. And lastly, I remember this on a Nintendo Direct, and I waited for it to come out because I really wanted to try it, was Refined, the personality game for Switch.
I think I heard about this one.
It is extremely unique because the way you play it, you're judged on everything you do, everything you touch, everybody you talk to, how long it takes you to do everything, and then you're assigned two jobs you'd be good for, judging on your personality. There is a story to be told, where you can manipulate because you're a robot, your circuits to get more of the story.
Uh-huh.
But every time you do something that influences your personality, it takes up a piece of your heart. Once your heart gets to 100%, the game just ends. And it tells you that constantly, saying, is this all the stuff you want to do? Because if you do one more thing, the game ends, and we're going to give you your results.
Oh.
The game's meant to be played multiple times, like 30 minutes at a time. It's great.
Oh, that's not bad.
And it's just pixel based, so it's a nice little story that each time you play, you kind of find out a little bit more about it. So I've been enjoying that.
I'll have to check that one out. All right, so for myself, I have been traveling a lot. In the past week and a half, I've been between 3 states, going between Wyoming, Utah, and Maine. Maine actually being for a week where we got to hike around the state parks and stuff up there of Acadia, or the national park, for the whole week on my actual vacation with Amanda. And then Wyoming and Utah were work-related stuff, but picked up a couple games while I was out. But during the first week, during travel up to Maine, Amanda and I were flying, I finally completed MEO the Smiling Man, finished the story for it, and then it opened up a second short story that explains more of the background of a different character. Went through that. I like how it kind of changed the logo to tie the 2 stories together, and it's very definitive. There's not really much replay on this, but it was a fun story. Way, way darker than I expected a Nintendo-made game to ever go. Like, this is pretty messed up with the content it goes with, and I was like, okay. But I enjoyed it. I really liked playing it. It felt a little bit like it kind of holds your hand as you go along. Like, you can't really mess up or game over, it seems. Like, it just kind of corrects you if you pick something wrong. And there's a few instances I hate where it's like, hey, you got to remember this exact word or someone's name, and it's not normal names that I'm used to, like Americanized names, because it's still in Japanese. And it's like, you have to manually type them in. And I was like, oh, crap. What? How is that spelled? Like, what are we looking for? What's punctuation? So I had to look up a few of those. But beyond that, the game itself was pretty good. After that, I finally started Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And I have been playing a lot of that. Jennifer got it day 1. I did not get to play it until I was actually on the trip because I wanted to finish MEO first, so I got delayed a few days. I'm really enjoying it for a Zelda game. It's creative how it actually works with the echoes for being able to make stuff. And I liked you can kind of find little hidden ones or different strength versions of things around that you can use. I don't like the interface because it's just this long list of things I have to kind of slide through to pick, what item or what creature I'm using. I do like the fact that you can just throw a bed down, hop into it, and just start getting health back at any time. And you can kind of cheese that during boss fights. If you get a moment where you're going to be there, you can just throw a bed down real quick, hop into it, and while they're doing something, get like a heart or 2 back. Just kind of cheese the fight. But I'm liking it. I don't know how far into the story I am. I've got probably 75% of the map opened up at this point. And kind of exploring it. I think I'm probably on the latter half of the game now, but I don't want to go into detail in case anybody is still playing it or wanting to do stuff. But
I'm 5% in.
It's not my favorite Zelda, but I will definitely say I am glad to be able to play it. And I think it's nice seeing everything from Zelda's point of view. And of course, I'm playing the whole game of where in the timeline would this fit? Because it's very interesting how it works out. It almost maybe feels like it could be a prequel to Link to the Past, or I'm not sure yet. So
I think it replaces Majora's Mask because nobody likes that game.
I love Majora's Mask. Shut your dirty mouth. How dare you, sir?
I got that game for Shinoa for her birthday, and she's absolutely loving it right now.
Ha!
He meant Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it.
Not Majora's Mask.
I wouldn't get her. I wouldn't gift her that.
Oh, come on. God. I podcast with just plebeians. And then from there, of course, I was playing Demio with Brent, Shinoa, and Chase before, which has been a lot of fun. I had to fix my Oculus Quest 2 because I got back and all of a sudden the side strap to the battery headset just snapped in half. And I was like, so, son that plays this and been playing it more than I have, what happened to it? I don't know. I didn't do anything to it. Like, it didn't just break itself, buddy. And nobody said anything. So
Pulled the Homer Simpson on. He's like, it was like that when I got there.
I was like, it was not, but whatever. I picked up a Xbox One copy of, I guess, like a Dishonored like side story that came out a while back, and it finally got me to go back and try Dishonored itself. I have the game, but it would never quite click. And when I was on my work trip earlier this week, I realized, oh, I already had it installed on my Steam Deck, and I had that with me. So let's just give it a shot. And I played, I think like the first hour and a half, 2 hours, like I got through the opening and escaped and kind of going from there. But it's a fun game. So I'm going to continue with it and see how it goes. You know, maybe I'll actually finally get to go through Dishonored for once. And then lastly, we picked up a movie called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. This movie is great.
Looks great.
It's one of those, it starts off saying based on a true story, and you're like, oh, okay, sure. No, it actually is. At the end of the film, they actually show, here's what happened to the characters and shows their real life photos. And it's not spoiling anything, but this is basically in World War II, how special forces pretty much started, like the mission that started off with that, where they kind of ended up making that branch of, of those, the ministry of that. And it is a blast to watch. It is incredibly violent and very funny. It's a Guy Ritchie film, so it definitely feels like that with the pacing and the way the story is told. I'm sure there are tons of dramatic and entertainment, liberties taken with it, but Henry Cavill is in this one, and the whole cast of it is just great. So I highly recommend it. To the point, I would say if you can get the 4K version, it's worth adding to a collection. This is one you might go back and watch again.
I got that feeling because I really loved Snatch, and it looked like it was along the same vein.
I would go on a limb to recommend if you can pick it up, do so. I think you'll really enjoy it. The bonus content, from what I've seen, like they have a nice documentary on the 4K disc, which normally you don't get bonus content on that disc. That was fun to watch. I'm going to put the Blu-ray in later and see what other extras they have there. That's probably like deleted scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, it 100%. I recommend that movie. It is a good watch. Amanda and I were laughing our asses off at it while we were watching it. So, all right. Now that we've talked about what we've been up to in this nice little gap since I've been out of town and we had to skip stuff, let's jump into our news. Hey guys, we've been waiting forever for this, and Nintendo has announced new hardware finally.
Woo! Pre-order day one.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fucking alarm clock.
Awesome.
I got so many people, like, bless your Nintendo for this. A couple of news writers did this to people. They announced, Nintendo put new hardware out, and, and I was telling like one of my coworkers when I got back from work, like, hey, while you were gone, Nintendo announced something. He's like, how did I not see anything? What's going on? And I was like, yeah, it's the most Nintendo thing they could have done. And it's an alarm clock called Alarmo. What a name. It's $100, technically $99.99. You can order it from Nintendo Switch Online. If you're a subscriber, you can go to the website, sign in. So this is a alarm clock that uses motion sensors to track your movement as it's trying to wake you up. And it starts playing music from different games. Right now it features stuff from Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 3, Pikmin 4, Ring Fit Adventure, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is a Wi-Fi enabled clock, so if you actually connect it online and link your Nintendo account via DLC, or it's just going to be an update, not even DLC. They're adding Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Animal Crossing New Horizon.
They should have been paid DLC, so they'd be the first one ever.
Oh God, I don't think I would ever stomach a alarm clock with DLC. Like that's
and then and then they could get a patent on alarm clock DLC.
Oh God.
They probably already do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they probably already did.
Yeah, they're probably gonna get like they probably have a patent for an alarm clock with motion sensing. I don't know. I
Yeah.
could see that.
I was about to say. They probably also had a patent on an alarm clock costing $100 too.
Oh, I've seen alarm clocks cost more than that.
Yeah.
They can be stupid. This one at least seems entertaining, but it's like a little the shape of it reminds me of the driver in a type of speaker called an LRAD, which is like the heavy duty, like super loud ones.
Yeah.
And it's just the physical shape of the driver, not the actual speaker itself. So I think it's going to be fairly loud because that's how that design is made. But that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be an alarm clock to wake you up.
You could probably also get a PS5 Pro because then you'll wake up when you see the charge come off of your card.
Still amazes me those are still available. Yeah. Well, actually, it doesn't amaze me. People
I was going to say, it doesn't amaze me at all.
Yeah, they're freaking expensive.
Nobody could get disc drives for them.
No kidding.
Well, actually, those are now available everywhere again.
Not over here.
Yeah.
No, nobody likes you over there.
Yeah.
Everything's 4 times as expensive.
So one of the kickers with this, because it's tracking your motion, when it starts using the alarm as you move, it makes sound effects based on the game that kind of alerts you to get you up. And the more you do, the more sound it makes. And when you finally arise, it plays a fanfare, like celebrating, hey, you're awake. And then you just kind of leave your bed and walk off, and it stops the alarm automatically because it knows you've left. The kicker is if you have pets that sleep with you, which people have cats and dogs that do that all the time, or if you are not lonely and have a significant other sleeping in the bed with you, the alarm clock won't work. It has to use what they call button mode in order to stop the alarm, which has a cool little button on the top that's also a turn dial, but kind of defeats the purpose of the motion control. I guess I could use it on some nights because Amanda works nights, so I usually wake up by myself in the morning anyways until she gets off from work. But still would be kind of a weird combination for that.
I'll let you know when mine arrives on Wednesday.
I was going to say, Steven, they're already sending it now? I thought this was like a pre-order for next year.
No, other retailers will stock it like Targets and stuff next year.
Oh.
But it's shipping right now from Nintendo Store, and if you live near Nintendo New York City, you can go there and buy it right now as well. I think it's been selling out a few times already.
I'm still waiting to find out if I might be able to go to New York later this month for work. And if that happens, I might just grab one while I'm there because I want to go back by that store. Yeah, if they have them. It's an excuse to go by that store. I've been once and it is amazing. I want to go again. I need to finish my Pikmin plush set. I'm still missing one of them now. So yeah, you're getting the alarm clock, Chase, or are you considering the $100 Nintendo alarm clock?
Absolutely not.
He's waiting for the Team Buddies alarm clock.
Shut up.
I am still looking for that game. It's on my list and I ask for it at every store I go to. I'm hell-bent to find out what the hell this is. So
it's amazing, but it's my white whale. So many regrets.
If I find it, I'll let you know. So yeah, I'm probably going to get one of these alarm clocks just to try it out. More than likely, it'll probably go to one of my kids. It might work better for them. And we'll see from there. Jennifer would probably get it.
I wonder if this is what Nintendo Sleep became, or Wii Sleep.
Maybe, but Nintendo had to know. Like, people are dying to hear about our new hardware. Let's announce a clock.
That's classic Nintendo. It's perfect.
They are
trolling
fucking with us at this
Trolling
point. Yeah,
is
this is masterful trolling.
Especially, they need to add a disclaimer to the trailer that just says this trailer does not include any information on the next console. Sorry.
How crazy it would have been if they'd had a little subtitle piece that just said Switch 2 compatible at the bottom. Just added that, no reason why. How much everybody would lose their damn minds if that happened. Oh man. All right, let's jump on to our next bit of Nintendo news. So Nintendo had a mysterious test program pop up earlier this week, going on that for Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack users could go and sign up for this, and we don't know what it's about. I missed it by about a minute. I was outside actually having to do work. Steven, you managed to get into it, I believe, correct?
Yeah, they only accepted 10,000 people, I think. There's an NDA that you basically accept as soon as you get the code that says you cannot talk about it. So everybody's wondering who's going to be the person who incurs Nintendo's wrath.
Yeah, who's some random kid's just gonna do it for
Who's
clout.
like, what's an NDA? Because I've had a few people say that to me when I've been saying it. I'm like, it's a non-disclosure agreement. And,
I guarantee day one.
We'll know if somebody squeals next week because they said they'll reveal more to the people who got in next week on the 20th. And all people know is that whatever it is, it's a 2.2 gigabyte download. That's all we know.
Yeah, I've heard all kinds of random speculation going on about this, which is really funny because everyone's just losing their shit trying to figure out what it is. I've heard everything from it's finally we're streaming Xbox games, like it's gonna have the game streaming on there, which I really doubt. It's gonna be a way for Switch 2 titles to stream on a Switch 1, like a backwards compatible or a forwards compatibility mode.
Like cloud.
Yeah, like cloud. Also, don't see that happening. There's another one people are trying to. It's great watching this weird conspiracy theories they're trying to fit together of like, we must be getting F-Zero arcade games on here. And I was like, why would they need us to test that? Like, it would be cool, but they would just freaking release it. Like, why? We don't need to test it. I don't know. I've heard other stuff about GameCube games. Once again, why test it? Things like that. Maybe it'll be some ridiculous Nintendo voice chat final thing that's happening with a massive app. I don't know.
It's just going to be Alarmo integration.
I hope so. At that point, it would just be the biggest middle fingers from Nintendo. Just like
the Nintendo cherry on top.
Or it'll be themes. What have we been asking for?
I know what it is. I know what it's going to be. You guys familiar with group cloud computing, where you can have different devices doing calculations for stuff to make larger work happen?
Yeah, I did that with my PS3 to help cure cancer.
Right. Nintendo's going to use it to help file all their lawsuits. We're going to help file their lawsuits faster by cloud computing to all the Switches. And if you talk to anybody about it, they just automatically add you to the docket. So I'm not in the program. I didn't make it in time. I'm sure I'll find some way to find out what's going on, and I'll talk about it because I'm not under an NDA. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't feel bad. It filled up in 20 seconds.
I believe that. I hate that, but I believe it. I don't know. Do you guys have any actual legitimate thoughts? Like, Steven has not done anything with this yet. We don't know. We're just guessing out of our asses. What could this be?
As the first time they've ever really done this, that they've actually enforced an NDA as well, which means non-disclosure agreement, everyone who's wondering. This is uncharted territory, so I don't know. And I like not speculating because I don't want to be that kid in Malcolm in the Middle who just said, like, that I wasn't surprised, but I was still disappointed. So I was just like, I just want to go in fresh as can be and just be like, oh, that's it. I'll probably still give you guys from 1 to 10 how excited I am when I find out, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys right now, we don't want Steven to get in trouble. If we find out what it is, we will probably not talk about it on here until somebody else leaks that shit and we can point to the leak.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
saying jack squat.
I'm going to read that NDA like it's the...
Well, you could quietly talk to us.
Like it's the Steam agreement. I'm gonna read through exactly what Nintendo wants of me. I'll be like, yes, sir. I am already branded on both sides. I've got my Pledge of Allegiance. I'm the Nintendo Space Marine. Like for the Lord,
for Lord Miyamoto. Oh man, that's great. Yeah, I just want to know what this is gonna be like. No matter what, we're going to overly speculate, and it's not going to be what people think it's going to be.
I would also like to say that with the amount of people that were told about it, and then the amount of people that went in to try to sign up, kudos to their website for not crashing at all.
Yeah, it didn't give me like a weird error. It just said, hey, we're
I really thought
let me sign up.
I thought I'd get like a forbidden error or something weird as soon as that time hit. Nope. everybody got in normally. I was like, okay. So
Yeah, I went to the web.
if this is what you're working on, Nintendo, keep it up. Get those servers running well for the next system.
Nintendo's servers are hardened with years of amiibo releases, so they're fine. Like,
oh man, I would like new amiibos. All right, let's move on here. So we have talked many times before why Steven and Chase and I greatly prefer physical releases because, hey, we get to own them. And people would always argue with us going, well, I own my digital games. No, you don't. So Steam has updated where you are informed when you reach the shopping cart when purchasing a game, which states, quote, a purchase of a digital product grants a license for the product on Steam, not that you own it. So this is in regards to a recent California law that was passed, which states you must inform a customer about not owning a digital product or a digital work, and that is just a license to use that product. It can be pulled at any time. It can be changed. You do not own it. In probably one of the best moves that GOG.com has done in a while, which is almost the level of the PlayStation 4 how to share a game ad. They updated their storefront. So when you check out, it says, quote, a purchase of a digital product on GOG grants you its offline installers, and then in bold, which cannot be taken away from you. That is a good move, I think, from their part. I don't know. We've argued this before. Digital games can be taken from you without anything going on, be it on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, whatever. You don't own it. You have it for that time that they allow it, and that is it.
I kind of wish that some of those things would actually have an expiration date because, I even learned about Dead or Alive when they had Mai Shiranui from King of Fighters, that she's no longer available because the license to be able to host her as an add-on expired, and nobody knew when it expired, and they didn't even tell anybody. It just poof.
Yeah, they would have had that in the contracts. They could have probably added it and kind of. That's why, like, what was it? Everybody was upset and hated when Nintendo did that with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, but at least we knew, like, they weren't kidding. Like, here's the day it's going to end. Get it before this day. Hey, the date's coming up. And then the next day it was like, it's gone. Nintendo didn't tell us what's going on. Go ahead, Steven.
So also to go with this metaphor, Fantasio, the, what keeps Chris up at night.
I need to get my copy.
If you look at their EULA, everybody's favorite, they have a brand new section, and it's called No Right to Ownership. It says, and I quote, you acknowledge and agree that you shall have no ownership or other property interest in the product, and you shall further acknowledge and agree that all such rights are and shall forever be owned by inure to the benefit of Sega. They then say that it grants you a non-exclusive, non-transferable, limited, fully revocable right and license to install, access, and use one copy of the product. Moreover, it can stop offering or supporting online services for Metaphor ReFantasio at any time, and your account and data might be deleted. In this case, Sega shall not be required to provide refunds, benefits, or any other compensation in connection with discontinuing such online services.
Oh, shit. Well, that doubled down on you don't own Jack.
I think physical is going to go through a renaissance.
I hope so. And I know there's been a lot of cases where physical has become just a shell for digital. Basically,
sometimes,
yeah. And Xbox One was really bad about that. PS4 was better, I think, in that regards. I got to give them credit where credit is due. And I think Switch has still been the best in that regard, where you've got a handful of games that were not all on cartridge. Thankfully, that seems to have been kind of a short-term thing. I know we see like the code in the boxes and so forth, but I've seen mostly, I think recently, I don't know if you've had the same thing, Steven, most of the cartridges I've gotten have actually been a complete playable game on cart.
Yeah, I think with the latest increase in memory and some of the updates they've done to the system, they've allowed that now to how it displays on the system in separate tiles. So because of that, they've said, okay, you can have it all on cart if you want to just pay for the little bigger carts.
Yeah.
And I think what also greatly benefits Nintendo with stuff like this is the most unused feature that you said you've used before, and that's using your local connection to update somebody in the same room with you. So if they
Yep.
don't have the same version as you can just be like, hold on, let me send the update to you without any need to visit any store or anything. So I was like, it's like, why they must have the patent to that, because
Yeah.
why isn't anybody else doing that? Because I was like, that's genius.
I want to try that out. And actually, I still have this completely untouched, or, barely open Switch Lite. I want to set that up and try that with the Borderlands collection, because Jeremy got me that for Christmas a while back, and it's not a bad version. I know only one game is actually on the cartridge; the rest are downloads. But I wonder if I put that on there, if I can get the other games from him, if it's counted as an update or if I have to download it. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious, like how far does that go for certain stuff? Because I don't think DLC counts, but is that DLC? It's technically an update, right? Yeah, I kind of want to know. So I guess that's my test bed. I'll have to find out. But yeah, everyone loves the convenience of Steam, playing on PC and stuff like that. But we have
I just think
Oh, go ahead.
I just think this is like the warnings on the cigarette boxes. It's you already know about this. You already knew about it going in.
Yeah.
But now they due to some bills being passed, at least in California, they legally have to say this.
I don't think they should have to say it.
It's not like a disruption like loot boxes are overseas, where you can't do those anymore because it's considered gambling. So if you're not an adult product, you can't do that. So I can at least say, while this was a long time coming, because eventually somebody was going to be like, you should legally tell everybody how digital products work.
Yeah,
that they can pull anything, even movies. People, they can just be like, oh, that was a price error. We revoked your rights to watch any of those movies. So they can do it. It can happen. So it's it's just now out front and center. So.
And I think that's kind of the case. Like, this may not be the main way I like to purchase games. I like having the physical copies for these reasons. Like I've been buying a bunch of physical games recently that you can't get in other places that are not available, and all this different stuff, Blood
and
Rain,
don't get
and
me
all
wrong,
that.
except for Blood Rain. Blood Rain you can get on Switch. But
Touche.
but no, I definitely agree with that, because that's unfortunately how some things are going. So you just have to kind of like understand what you're getting and what's going to happen to it at a moment's notice.
Like I said, I think the biggest part is the clarification. If you are informed to make the choice, then that's fine. If you are comfortable with that and you want to make that choice and you were informed of it, you should be all free to do that if that's how you want to play. And that's why
my thing has always been that if the physical is more, I'm sorry, if the digital is the same price of the physical, I'm going to buy it physically.
Yeah.
And I will not pay more than it is digitally, unless it's just something I want to own or collect.
Yeah, it's got to be like, I've paid more for a digital release than physical before, but they were special circumstances for like the big Ultimate Edition of like, Forza Horizon 5 or, whatever. And, or the stuff I did for Starfield, things like that. Like, I knew what I was getting into. It. Once again, it's an informed decision, not, oh, well, we're just going to make you do this or not tell you what's going on and revoke it later.
Yeah.
So, and I know, I'm curious, Chase, for you on your side, given where you are, digital is probably a more easily accessible option than physical in a lot of cases, because the cost of shipping and everything really would jump the price up, if I'm understanding it properly.
Yeah, because there's not really a lot of outlets over here to get like games from. Like over in the US you've got like Target, Best Buy, Amazon, like GameStop, insert like a bunch of other stores here, Walmart. Like, you've got a lot more like options, competition, sales, things like that. Over here you've got a company called Mighty Ape, which is kind of like Australia, New Zealand version of Amazon,
Mhm.
because Amazon Australia sucks ass. So it's like they don't carry like anything. So like you got Mighty Ape, which kind of is like Amazon operates pretty much almost exactly like it for the most part. They're really good. And you've got EB Games, which is basically which is GameStop, but
Yeah.
the international version of GameStop.
That's what Canada has. It's like basically the remnants of what GameStop absorbed.
Yeah,
Just keeping the name.
GameStop just uses them as their international brand.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's trying to find stuff physical is hard. Like there's not a lot of, and like especially retro stuff too. There's not a lot of places you can get like older stuff as well.
I can imagine
So
that would be hard, which is why I was shocked when you showed up with that game box at the beginning. I was like, "Holy crap!"
yeah, those
Like,
are my flatmates.
tell them I'm jealous because that is in immaculate shape. Like that was such a nice master. Because I've never physically seen a Master System 2. Like I've seen
Yeah.
pictures, but I've never seen one. I want to get a hold of that thing. All right, let's jump into our next news then. So, speaking of digital rights and how that works out, Ubisoft and the Guillemot family are considering a collaborative buyout by Tencent. So, the Guillemot family owns 14% of Ubisoft, and Tencent currently owns 9.99% of the company. But they're doing this because apparently Ubisoft lost more than half of its market value in 2024 because some of its games didn't sell very well. You had a lot of people throwing stupid fits over stuff like Star Wars Outlaws, things like that. And they're looking to buy out the company and possibly make it go private again instead of being a publicly traded one. But this would put all of Ubisoft into control of Tencent. The irony of that is the fact that the UK mandated that Microsoft had to sell off all of the Call of Duty streaming rights in the UK to Ubisoft as an agreement for them to make the purchase of Activision Blizzard because they didn't want that much control in one company for, even though it's not, even after the purchase, it's still like the third largest publisher. It's still way behind like Sony and them. This would now hand over Tencent, which is a much larger publisher who's been buying up companies. They would then have those exclusive rights in the UK to the Call of Duty series, which is kind of just ironic as hell to me. Like, I don't know. Tencent likes to make a lot of mobile games, so I'm kind of wondering if that goes through, how that's going to affect it for, all the different series, like the Tom Clancy series and stuff like that we enjoy. Will we ever see Beyond Good and Evil 2? Will that just become something else? No. Yeah. You guys have any thoughts about this? The whole idea of Tencent eating, possibly gobbling up Ubisoft?
It's really unfortunate. Like, I like a lot of Ubisoft games, but like lately they've just done pretty poorly. So like I just don't like. I'm not surprised by any
Which
of
kind
it.
of sucks. Prince of Persia was really, really good. Like it was
Prince of Persia was really
fantastic.
good. Apparently, the new Assassin's Creed game everybody's really liking, like what they're seeing. I think that's
It
coming
got
Got
out here.
delayed
delayed.
though.
Yeah.
Huh?
It got it got delayed, but now there's rumors that they're adding co-op. So
Yeah, which that would be great.
so that if you want to be both of them at the same time, you could.
That'd be cool.
Like I am a huge fan of the Ghost Recon series. Love their games, so that's be really unfortunate. If anything, I'd rather see Ubisoft just go back to being private without like being owned by Tencent, to be fair, because I think those were their heydays when they didn't have shareholders they had to appease all the time,
Right.
and they could actually just make the games they wanted to make. Like, I think that would be absolutely fantastic, but I don't know. I kind of hope they don't sell to Tencent, but it is what it is, I guess. Like, nothing I can do about it.
Well, Tencent already owns 10% of it, so they'd be working with
Yeah.
the family to try and buy out the rest. Steven, go ahead.
So, kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. I see Embracer as the Hyde because all the bad news has come from the Embracer side, while I believe Tencent, uh, I think either does more research or
Mhm.
is just more involved in terms of are we getting something financially stable? Because I can't remember the last time Tencent got rid of anybody or laid off anybody yet.
Okay.
Knocking on wood, because they own Riot Games, they own Funcom, they have a 40% stake in Epic Games, and like so far they seem to be hands off. Like you don't even hear the word Tencent when
Okay.
it comes to a lot of these games. So I don't know. I know that they own a good portion of Nintendo as well, but Nintendo said they'll never allow anybody to purchase over a certain amount, so that they
Right.
can't uh, throw around any influence.
Yeah, they can
Um,
benefit from it, but they cannot control it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I Ubisoft right now is not in a good place. They lost one of their creators that made a great game that just didn't sell to their expectations,
Mm.
and then their creator goes off and partners up with a guy from Red Dead Redemption, and they make a brand new studio. So the guys who made Mario and Rabbids and the guys who worked on Red Dead Redemption have a new studio now to make games. So Ubisoft, I think you should definitely stop with the quadruple A. So Skull and Bones should never happen again,
Should have happened to begin with.
and maybe dial back on your triple A's and do a double A like Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, where it's really good and word
Yeah.
of mouth that it's really good helps with the sales. Because while everybody was chomping at the bit that they finally got an open world Star Wars game, it still got that Ubisoftness that people are getting tired of, and that's probably why the new Assassin's Creed is being reworked the way it is, because we've never had co-op in an Assassin's Creed before that worked properly in a campaign setting. I think there was one that had a multiplayer mode that you could play together,
Mm-hmm.
a la
I
Splinter
know
Cell style.
there was
That
there was
was good.
Unity, which was 4-player co-op, but that was such a buggy mess that up until
Yeah,
it took like almost like what 4 or 5 years after it's released for it to actually like work properly.
yeah. So
But that
typical Ubisoft. So
everybody was hyped for that game when it was coming out because it was the first game where you had 4-player co-op, and everyone's like, "Holy crap, this is gonna be awesome! I'm gonna finally play this with my friends." And then it was so buggy, it was terrible.
I mean, I
so
do
so
I do
yeah,
miss. Oh,
I think they kind of need a small bailout here where they'll get a little like cash bump and
mhm.
maybe just a kick in the rear saying like, you can't take all this time on these games. You can't make a yearly or bi-yearly Assassin's Creed. You just need to make stuff that's fun again,
Yeah, like
because
I
a
said,
lot
how
of
many
stuff that's
times?
taking off right now is not AAA.
Yeah, how many times have they hinted and tried to get everyone to be like, love Ubisoft. We've got Beyond Good and Evil 2 coming. And like, yeah, that was generations back. Like you guys keep trying to tease it. But
Yeah, I
I
mean,
do miss experimental Ubisoft. Like one of their favorite games of mine, of theirs, is Zombie U. I know it
yeah,
wasn't a huge commercial success, but it was such a fun and creative idea that actually used the Wii U hardware in a good way. Once again, though, they panned it because they're like, oh, well, we're not going to make any more. It didn't sell to
Yeah,
this
it had a
ridiculous
very good. It had a
expectation.
high tension aspect to it,
I
and then they
love, I
ripped out
still
all
play
the
that.
tension for the Xbox One, PS4 versions, and it was garbage
Yeah.
because there wasn't anything to be scared of looking in your backpack or anything like that. And it just got rid of like the little notes that are used in like games like Elden Ring and stuff nowadays. It's like, why did
yeah.
you do that?
I think Zombie U, if it had gotten a proper sequel on the Wii U, could have been a great, great game. They could have expanded the concept of it, added more weapons, added a true multiplayer, not the weird one that they had in there, which was fun. Would have been a good mode, but actually had a more multiplayer aspect.
There it is. The test program is Zombie U2,
Yep.
and you and it requires you to own a Switch Lite, because the Switch Lite will be your backpack screen and your regular Switch will be your main gameplay. There you
So I'm not gonna like uh, won't try to go too deep into it, but it was actually quite interesting because, like, I mean, when you look back at Ubisoft,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot like they've come up with a lot of ideas, and like they've come up with a lot of fresh ideas. They've and it
A
was
lot of
quite
mouth to
interesting
fuck.
because there was another podcast I was listening to that they
Mm-hmm.
were talking about the Nintendo lawsuit on Power World, and the guy said like totally understand what Nintendo's doing it, but he also said in the back end he's like it's kind of odd because at the same time like Nintendo, if you're gonna sue somebody because they're skimping on your ideas, Ubisoft would like to have a word with you because Breath of the Wild takes a lot of stuff that Ubisoft was the first ones to kind of do. So, like towers and all that stuff. So it's quite interesting, like listening to talk about it. Like Ubisoft did come up with a lot of interest. Like Ubisoft did come up with a lot of ideas that people copied off of. They copied that Ubisoft formula later on down the lines.
Very true. So, yeah, we'll have to find out where this one goes. I'm kind of curious to see how the rest of the year plays out if Ubisoft decides to make that move. And I wonder how much it's going to come down to the next Assassin's Creed, how well that sells, which may be part of why they delayed it to try and add more to it, to try and get it up to that level for people to buy it. And I'm kind of worried that they are taking what looks like a fun game that's not bloated and oversized and actually thinking we need to make it bloated and oversized to make it so quadruple A that people will buy it and completely miss the point.
Yeah. Hey, Ubisoft, just like EA, when you guys have to release a graph of what you get with each edition of the game, you're going down the wrong path.
Ubisoft has probably been one of the worst of all the good things they've done. Probably they've been the worst and most guilty of toxic pre-order culture. It's them and EA are neck and neck for just finishing first in that race. Because that's one thing. That's the worst thing to say about them is their shitty pre-order culture. They ran with it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on. All right, so 343 Studios is no more. Long live 343 Studios, now called Halo Studios.
If you guys didn't know what they were ever going to make, now you know. This is it for them.
I feel like we're being stuck in a corner here. Like, yeah,
well,
maybe.
At least Marathon's not being called the Concord Studio or anything like that.
Firewalk. Yeah.
Firewalk. There you go.
Yeah, can you imagine if they did get called
Failure Walk?
Studios?
Failure Walk. Oh, God.
So we have, along with this name change, we've also gotten the news there are multiple Halo titles in development with active hiring going on for all of them, as well as spots at the studio. So it's kind of nice to at least see growth happening. Like Nintendo maybe could have, or not Nintendo, Microsoft could have looked at some of the people that got laid off and maybe see if they would fit over there. Maybe they're going to contact them and rehire. We'll see. Not going to be that many to offset the people they laid off, but we're also losing the Slipspace engine that was made for Halo Infinite. That is now moving to Unreal Engine 5, where they had a whole video and screenshots showing off the new detail and how everything is going. And that has led to weird speculation that Chase and I started talking about, and we'll talk about here, because everyone's convinced this must be how Halo is going to be, running exclusively the best on PlayStation 5. And I'm like, God damn it. Come on, guys.
I think the only reason why people are speculating that is because Digital Foundry said it. So like everybody's just running with what they say because the Digital Foundry said it. So they got to know what they're talking about. And it's like,
no,
I respect Digital Foundry and I respect their knowledge. So,
I do too, but I think sometimes they get so far into their belief on how everything has to be that they will. They want it to be on PlayStation because they prefer PlayStation for a lot of stuff, and it's the same people like with Echoes of Wisdom that are kept trying to tell me, oh, I can't. That game is unplayable. The frame rate's so bad, I can't. It's unplayable is their actual term, and I'm playing it going, yeah, it looks fine. What the fuck are you talking about? Like I'm having a blast. Whatever. Hitches a bit. You guys would have died during the N64 PlayStation days. Like,
right.
And I could see to bridge that gap, Chase, if they had, just like they had for Halo Infinite and stuff, release the multiplayer as a cross-platform thing, I could see it. But I'm not. That would be God of War coming to Xbox. That is I get it going to PC, but that is such a big identifying part because you think Xbox, you think Halo, and it would be so weird seeing that on something else that they would really lose their identity. I think beyond what's already happening. Go ahead, Stephen.
So I have 3 points. One of them is I believe them as well. So yes, I believe. Who cares about identity anymore? They just care about sales. That's the way they're becoming. And I in the belief that there is talk going on behind closed doors that maybe do a swap where we can get the next Halo for Helldivers 2 or something along those lines.
I don't think
Um,
Sony is going to ever give up any of their stuff. They've got it so lock and stock on there. They're even trying to
yeah,
control
but
the
they don't
PC
even like
release.
Arrowhead that much because that place got them in trouble. That started the whole
They got
PS
themselves in trouble. Arrowhead didn't get them in trouble.
Yeah,
that started the whole PSN requirement, so they might soften the blow by be like, "Look, it's on Xbox. You're
well,
required to have an Xbox Live account."
Sony's doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on that. Like, what? I don't know. Did we talk about it on the last show, or maybe I forgot it in the news? Like with the
Was it
updated version of crap. What's the game
God
coming
of
out?
War.
Horizon?
Not got Horizon. They
Yeah, the Horizon
delisted.
Remastered is going to require you to have that now.
Yep, and they delisted the original version of Horizon, which was Steam Deck compatible. So now you either have to buy it again, and we don't know if it's going to be Steam Deck compatible. And there's a bunch of countries that aren't even allowed to have it because of the PlayStation Network update. So it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there was a guy who modded the God of War Ragnarok to not require the PSN, but then he pulled it saying he didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, because they were not happy about it. So,
but to my other points, some other news came out the same day, which I thought was just fortuitous for Halo Studios. One of them was on the same day that they're like, yeah, we're switching engines. Monolith Soft was just like, we love our Xenoblade engine, and we've hired more people to see what more we can do for the engine, and we're just going to see how we can expand upon it. And then lastly, which comes out later this month, which goes into my first point of what Microsoft wants to see how it works, is so there's communities that can make mods for Halo Infinite through the Forge Studios.
Right.
Yeah.
So later this month, the Halo Infinite Helldivers mode will release called Helljumpers, a fully realized Helldivers in the Halo universe. So I'm excited to see how that works. There's already a trailer out that I'm going to watch after this just to see what it looks like. But a lot of people are pumped for it. So if it does well, Microsoft's, probably already got the gears turning. I'm just saying, I think Halo's not going to be on Xbox forever.
I don't know how I don't like. I know it's probably everyone's going to complain about that, but like I don't like how that feels.
I don't think they see anything as that they're proud to be exclusive anymore. Everything's just exclusive to Game Pass.
They're going to be exclusively the only hardware I don't buy because what is the point? They're already telling me, hey, we're going to release our games. Go get the best reason to get a PlayStation 5 Pro right now for me is Xbox games because they're like, well, Indiana Jones is going to run better on that. This is going to run better on it. I'm like, why you're talking about your next Xbox going to be the most technically advanced? What's the point if the games aren't there?
Like I don't know.
And I know you're like, the menu interface, but once you get into the game,
I'm just getting to the point where I'm accepting that they're just seeing everything they own as bargaining chips and not necessarily exclusives.
I still think that's an internal fight between Microsoft and Xbox, that they're viewing themselves as two separate things and they cannot get their messaging right. And Microsoft is just wanting a recoup on all of this stuff that they're doing without giving them a chance to do it. This isn't like Excel. Yeah, Excel made sense to go onto Macintosh. You didn't need it to be exclusive, with Microsoft Office on a Windows machine, but it's a different thing with games. Fuck this whole argument of the console wars. This is not that argument.
Social construct.
Yeah, I get tired of people trying to bring that up as their point. You're not proving shit. There is a reason behind these different systems being made and how they run, and you're investing in those environments. It's not a war. It is the investment in that setup. And there needs to be a reason for that. And I get it. Yeah, the games will still be there, but how does that affect it if you know this is not the best way to play their own game? Like, would you buy a movie if you knew you could get it, like, oh, you get VHS when you get it on Xbox, but if you go buy a PS5 Pro, you get 4K. And you're like, why would what? I know you guys made the movie, but what the hell? It's such a weird thing to me. Go ahead, Chase. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was just actually, you kind of like said the point that I was about to say is that I think that the problem is Phil Spencer and Xbox are saying one thing, but then Microsoft turns around and they say, well, we can make more money if we do it like this, so why don't we just do that? And then Phil's like, we don't want to do that. And then it's just like, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that signed the checks, so that's what they're going to do.
Right.
And it's it's really unfortunate because I think Phil Spencer has taken a huge beating in the public face, and I think a lot of it's because of Microsoft. I don't think it's his fault, but
Some of it I still think is kind of his fault. He's still,
oh yeah,
he's still the one that came out just a few months ago saying this game will not be on PlayStation. Turn around and it was.
yep.
This game will not do this. Turns around and they did it. And it's like, no matter
Said that
you guys are bad about the message, but then
He
you're
was
not
at the
even
Tokyo
clear
Game
about
Show.
what
They
you
have him
said.
on video saying the X is in the wrong spot.
That's funny.
It was, yeah. I think that Microsoft's been reeling. They've been scrambling ever since their Xbox One debacle. They've never really quite righted the ship properly. But then at the same time, Sony's trying to do whatever they can to fuck themselves over to to allow Xbox to come back in front. But like they just,
Well, I mean, they don't have to try that hard if they're just getting the Xbox games. Like the biggest competitor and problem Microsoft has is Microsoft right now.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it's. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's so weird.
It is weird. It's an odd time, but I mean, to be fair though, it's all speculation. At the end of the day, I think a big reason why they're probably going to Unreal 5 is because it's probably going to be a lot easier to hire people because more people are going to have experience with Unreal, and also when you switch to Unreal, you buy Unreal, Epic actually like sends people to your studio. They give you support while making games, and they show you how to like work the engine and stuff. So like there's a lot of good things that Epic does to like incentivize you to go to Unreal. They make it so it could just be that also.
So I'm curious. Have you two played Halo Infinite?
No.
What's that?
Not? Okay, I really liked Halo Infinite. I did have a lot of fun with it. I still want to go back and do some co-op with it with some people at some point, but it was a fun game. It had its problems. It was delayed in development and it came out with a rough start for sure, but it was fun. But even with that being said, if it is remotely close to what they showed off as their tech demo and demonstration, holy crap, that is a jump for Halo. And with the multiple stuff being made, could we see a newer version of like Master Chief Collection or a full remake of 1 again? Are they starting over with development, which I guess would kind of signal if they were going to put it on PlayStation 5 as a good starting point. So I'm still kind of curious of how that's going to go. But if they can keep even remotely close to that level of quality, that's going to be a nice jump for the Halo universe and hopefully, something new and fun to play.
There's a lot of people that probably thought like there's a podcast I was listening to where somebody said like at this point he's like, I don't know why everybody doesn't just go to Unreal 5. Just like have more standardization and stuff. But then but you actually look at it.
I can tell you why.
Well,
and it's the Batman Arkham Remastered games are horrible compared to the originals when they tried to update the Unreal Engine.
Unreal Engine 4, yeah.
As a hopefully not foreshadowing for Halo, but when Until Dawn went to Unreal, garbage.
Yeah, but
yeah,
I thought about it.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't want everyone using Unreal Engine 5. That'd be like saying every movie should be shot with the same camera. Like you lose that unique feel of the different companies having the different engines and how it makes the games look and play. You don't always want the same thing. It may be a point of convenience for them to switch this one to it, but I'm glad, the other one you guys were talking about was the one from Nintendo. You just mentioned it, Steven.
Monolith Soft's Xenoblade engine.
Yeah, I would. People would be like, oh, well, you can make it look so much better in Unreal Engine 5, but it wouldn't feel like a Xenoblade game. Because that engine does fit for that, and I think that's kind of how it should fit.
Back in the PS2, Xbox, PS3, 360 era, you could tell when something was using the Havoc engine, and it said it as soon as you logged in. And not for nothing, I really liked the Havoc engine, but we're getting to a point now where we don't want it to be just ragdoll. We want it to be a little bit more realistic, and that's where Unreal comes in. Yeah. But I love the Havoc era.
Yeah, we'll bring it up later. Hint, hint. For a game from there. But go ahead, go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, I was just thinking about though with like when he said that, and pretty much all of Sony's studios, exclusive studios, they run their own engines. So I mean, like
Yeah.
Insomniac has their own engine. Guerrilla's got the Decima engine, which is running fantastic. Sucker Punch made their own engine for Ghost of Tsushima. Like there's
Even Saber Interactive has Swarm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Saber Interactive has their
Kojima's
own
got
engine.
Kojima Productions has got their engine they use for like Death Stranding and all that stuff.
There's only like I think Team Asobi, they run their own engine for Astrobot. Like there's only like a very few that actually do run Unreal, but like and the thing that I think works well with them though is that they tailor, like Decima and even Ghost of Tsushima, the engine that they use for Ghost of Tsushima, which I can't remember off the top of my head. They've tailor made them to run to the PS5's like strengths though, because like I mean you look at like Ghost of Tsushima, it's a game that looks absolutely beautiful. Why? Because there's not a lot of stuff happening on the screen at one time, so it doesn't require like a huge amount of processing power. But the graphics, it pushes the GPU.
Yeah.
So like they've tailor made the games to like fit what the PS5 does well and doesn't do well. So, which is smart.
I would like to just interject and say the Frostbite engine is garbage.
What is it? Oh yeah, Frostbite, that Snowdrop.
Popular
Ubisoft had the Snowdrop or whatever.
Yeah,
Snowdrop,
which is already garbage. But just to make it worse, anything to do with ice and snow suck because EA uses Frostbite and they're like, "But it's in Battlefield and it's so awesome." But then they put it in their Madden and college games, and it's just like, no.
I will say the high point for that engine was Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2. I loved those games. I thought the engine worked great in that purpose. Anything beyond that, I'm not going to argue with you.
You want to talk about an engine that's been around for a long time and made somebody a lot of money? Let's talk about the RE engine for Capcom. That thing has made Capcom a lot of money. And it's
only been around for a couple of years now, but yeah, it's been widely used, even successfully on the Switch.
By Xbox. Anyway.
It's being used on RE engine's being used on there.
We're trying to make it work.
Well, no, they were using it for what was it, Resident Evil 7 and 8? We're using a version of RE engine and stuff like that. It was
Isn't
a different
Monster Hunter using a version of RE engine?
Yep.
Monster wait, no, I'm not thinking of RE engine. I'm thinking of MT Framework.
Yeah, MT Framework. They're finally getting around because we're getting those games over there. God, that was a weird delay. So, all right, so let's jump into our next little bit of Microsoft news here. This I thought was kind of an interesting turn. So, starting next month in November, you will be able to start browsing and purchasing and even playing Xbox games on Android. Caveat involved here. You can purchase the games directly from the Xbox app, which is a nice addition they're doing. So if we do decide to get something digital, you can just go ahead and grab it, have it installing from there. But being able to play it on Android is kind of fulfilling the promise in a way of what they first hinted at with Xbox Cloud Gaming. Not every game will support it because publishers and developers can still say, hey, we don't want to do this. Maybe they have an exclusive deal with another streaming service, or they just don't want it available that way, or it doesn't play to their specifications. But for the games that can, you can just start pulling it up right then and start playing it, even if it's installing at home on your Xbox or whatever. But this all stemmed from Google losing a court case with Epic, forcing them to open up the stores to secondary other stores. So now we're going to be getting the Xbox store available for purchasing things on there. Epic's bringing theirs back onto there so that they can start bringing Fortnite and other stuff back onto it directly. And it's kind of just a change of pace of how that's going to work. Because before it was, you could see the games on there, but I have to go on a computer to purchase them and then tell my Xbox to download them. You could not do it directly from the phone, which there's a lot of people that's their computer, is their phones. They don't have normal laptops or desktops or stuff. They might at best have an iPad or, their cell phone. So is this probably not going to change anything for the three of us, honestly.
Who would have thought that Epic would have would have gone against like the two biggest powerhouse like tech companies that actually came out of it on top, though. Like nobody gave them a chance.
They came on top on one. They're still fighting with the stuff with Apple. In the US,
Yeah.
they won, or they lost. In the UK, they won, but Apple's still finding ways to screw with them. So it's like, this is just
Yeah.
getting weird. But I don't know. I still find it funny. Google designs and makes Android, but now they have to have the other stores. And it's like, is that going to spread to other devices? Is Nintendo going to have to allow Xbox on the Switch eShop? You know, will Sony have to allow Xbox, or will Xbox have to allow Sony or something?
Because right now I can still buy, I can buy Nintendo games right from Nintendo store on here,
Right.
like digitally.
Well, I'm talking about like them saying, you know, you're making these devices, you have to open the store to other competitors. Could that be, you know, could we see the Switch 2 having to allow Xbox, you know, streaming as a store on there because they say, hey, you have to open this to everybody?
I think Nintendo will just be like, we're proprietary. We don't need all that extra stuff like that. Like, we don't ever want to be on anybody's stores. So they're like, bye.
Yeah.
Our apps are either games or accessories.
Well, you see what I'm talking about though? Like if they're saying that with Google and with Apple, even though they're proprietary making their software and stuff, requiring them to open the stores, do you think that'll ever happen on consoles in some way where, you know, someone sues and says they have to allow it? Like Epic could sue one of them and say, hey, we have to have our store on Xbox or our store on Nintendo.
I don't think so, because I still think each thing having its own store, kind of like microtransactions in certain aspects and stuff like that by certain companies, is it's pretty proprietary that I don't think a lot of that will kind of get messed with. The interesting part of the story for me was just the directly to your device, because like we were just saying before, it's just going to be another reason why you shouldn't have an Xbox console.
Yeah. I mean, it was one
they've
thing
already
that
got
was an option, but
they've already got the Fire Stick, Fire TVs, and now it's going to be on other portable devices. So it's just like, when do I not need my system anymore unless I want to play audio CDs?
Yeah, audio CDs only available on Xbox right now. All right, so moving on. So if you are wondering if you own PlayStation games, we're about to prove you don't. Little Big Planet 3 and all of its DLC will be removed from PlayStation Network on October 31st of this year. If you own the game and the DLC already, you can download them again in the future as long as that server is up. But after that date, the game itself will just disappear from online stores. And I think that will be the last Little Big Planet game for PlayStation. They have not made one since then.
No, they had
they made Sackboy, but like the actual Little Big Planet, like create a game.
Yeah.
I think this was the last one. Sackboy was fun though, by the way. You should try
Sackboy Adventures. That was a really good one.
That was a good platformer.
Yeah.
But right now it is $20. So if you want to pick it up before October 31st, that's not counting the DLC. A lot of that has already been taken down because it was for different licensed characters that are no longer available. But you can at least get the main game and then realize you can't download any worlds anymore because I think they shut that server down a while back. So you can just make stuff yourself and play it.
I blame Dreams.
God, that game crashed and burned so hard. Everyone was like, it's amazing you can do all this.
You can still make a lot of that stuff in Dreams, so people are like, why do I need Little Big Planet?
I didn't even know Dreams was still around. I thought it just kind of died off, like, whatever. All right, on to another game going away. So, Sony has finally removed Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number from the PlayStation Network store in Australia. Funny thing is, it was just removed now, but it was banned in the country in 2015. But they went ahead and released it on the PlayStation 5 last year in 2023 anyways. So Sony stated, quote, "We have become aware that the product Hotline Miami 2 Wrong Number has not received a proper rating from the Australian Classification Board and have therefore taken steps to refund customers who have purchased the game." So if you got the game, you downloaded the game, and you're playing it, tough shit, Sony took it away, removed it from your system, removed the license from your account. They were at least nice enough to refund you. But just like that, your game has gone away. Yeah. So that's once again proof that your digital titles are not yours. They can decide at any moment to just take them away from you. This did release on Switch in Australia back in 2019, but it had its access pulled within 24 hours. So they were a little more on the ball on what was going on there. They didn't make it almost a year. And I love this part. When asked about the removal of the game, developer Devolver Digital only responded with a screenshot from the game that says, "Good times never last." Any of you mess around or play any of the Hotline Miami games?
Yeah, they're awesome games actually, and
I
that's
have
why I
them on
got it.
Switch.
That's why I got it physical.
Yep. I
And
bought
you
it
could get it
twice on
physical on
accident.
PS4 too if you really cared. But
Yeah. I bought it twice on accident because I bought it once, and then another physical release company was making a version. I was like, I forgot I had it, and I ordered it as a different release. They look different, same game, but different cases and stuff. And I was like, okay, I guess I own this twice now. Chase, you ever tried out the Hotline Miami games?
Yeah, I have. They're good games.
It's so
Australia
weird
has
they
this-
got banned. Go ahead.
It's because Australia is really. We kind of talked about it a little bit before the show, but Australia has this really weird thing with particularly drug use. They're real picky about games having like drug use. I actually have I watched it's quite funny because like told Swan like a week before this show, I actually watched a YouTube channel from can't remember the name of the channel, but it said games banned in Australia. So I was actually like watching about this, and so some of the games that they actually banned is they've banned or censored. Duke Nukem 3D Atomic got censored. Basically, like
Not surprised. Probably
all
the bikini babes.
Yeah, all the like the strip club.
And the
It was
steroids.
completely like they took out like all the dancers. They took out like all the posters.
well, I watched that video.
So it's basically the Super Nintendo version.
Yeah, GTA 3 they banned completely because of the fact that you could sleep with hookers and then kill them. That was
Yeah,
like
I definitely watched that whole video because the censorship in some of the games was amazing.
the Postal 2.
If you find the video, send it to me. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after this. Postal 2 was banned, but then the ban finally got appealed back in July of this year.
Really?
So yeah, so like it was banned for like over a decade.
Postal and Postal 2, I think they were probably happy they got banned. It's one of those games where they're trying to be so
We're
far
hardcore.
out there. Yeah, they want to get banned in some places, and they probably use it as advertising, like banned in all in certain countries.
Punisher 2005, they censored the interrogation scenes, so if like you killed somebody, it would just zoom in on Frank Castle's face. It's like really awkward, like zoom in on his face. Yeah, then
Yeah, because that and stuff like Manhunt 2, they just like whitewashed things.
well,
and
no,
made it blurry.
Manhunt 2 got banned completely. You couldn't even play it over there because
So
they
they
were
tried
like,
censoring it with some like whitewash stuff, and then they're like, let's just get rid of it.
yeah, that's
I
what
know
they
in
did
America.
That's what they did in America because
Mhm.
it got the dreaded AO rating.
Yep, because I have it for Wii U or for Wii as well as PS2, and I remember that one when you would do the kills, it would go to black and white to try and get rid of the blood and change it.
Yeah. Fallout 3, there was a big fit about that, and it was going to potentially get banned because it originally, I don't know if people, I don't know if they changed it just for everywhere, but there was a whole thing where Med-X, you know how you take Med-X for health? It used to be called morphine.
Yep.
They were originally going to call it morphine, then they changed it to Med-X because they didn't want to deal with like Australia and other places banning them because of it.
I think Japan was another one that was not allowing that. I think they made that universal. It's been called Med-X for a while now.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild.
It's always kind of fun to see how games change in one country based on the reactions or what happens in another country.
Yeah.
Because
The funniest part of the Duke Nukem one is they left the strip club in there. It's just
empty.
a dance club with nobody in there.
It's a dance club with nobody in there. There's nothing on the screens. All the screens are either static or they're just blacked out. Like there's nothing
all
going.
the special rooms where you could have viewing is just static TV, so they're all broken.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And then like how when you killed an enemy, like their bodies would be like bloody
They
piles of,
disappear.
or yeah, their bodies, the sprites just completely disappear, just poof, gone. Like
I
they don't even.
think in Fallout 3 and some of the other ones, the Japanese release, you can't blow up people. Like
Oh, Australia didn't
they
care
don't.
about that.
Because you don't like. Well, you can blow them up, but
Yeah,
they don't.
the best
They don't
part of
break
that
apart in
video
pieces.
is some of the double standards where it's like, this isn't good, but all this is okay.
Yeah, because like
So
he's talking about that with Punisher. He's like, so Punisher was like bad because of the interrogation scenes, but then you allowed Saw to come over here. Like,
That's a
completely.
film. That's art.
Yeah, I guess it's just really weird.
Fucking double standards.
Yeah.
It's always weird because, like, you look at like the Japanese versions and the U.S. versions of stuff, and over here it's like, oh, we can't have any kind of nudity or adult content. Oh no, all those guns are fine. Yeah, no, shoot them all. Go for it. It's great. Just no boobies. No boobies. you know. We're such a weird country. All right. So kind of going from that, we'll move over to our big question for this week. So this one, Stephen, I believe you picked this one earlier, and you wrote, "Is there a delisted game not available physically that you would like to see return? If not, a game to be released on or re-released on modern consoles." So since you wrote this one first, Stephen, I'll let you start with that.
So one of them, because it wasn't released here physically, I don't believe, because I would have definitely had it,
Mm-hmm.
was a game called Pain, which I
Love
do
that
understand is, yes, referenced in the Astrobot games.
Yeah, I
But
thought I was so surprised by that.
but the fact that it had so many, it was like the Smash Brothers Angry Birds type of game, because you could even get Greg Kinnear and stuff like that in there and throw him at random stuff. So it was just like, how many points could you get in this cacophony of just destruction and different stages? So that was one that I'd like to see return. I don't care if it's digital only. I just want to play it some more. It can run on Unreal Engine 5 if it needs to. It's fine. But the other one, and this is the perfect timing, guys, because it's all the rage, and everybody's been clamoring for it. But we have Fighting Collection, we have Fighting Collection 2, we have Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection. We have all these old Neo Geo games coming out of the woodwork to be released on modern consoles. All right, NetherRealm. All right, WB. I know, WB, you don't like success because you just put success on the back burner for tax write-offs. But give us a modern collection of Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 and Ultimate. It's missing. We don't need trilogy. It's fine. Just give us those 4 games, or even those 3 games as a collection, where it's in the highest quality, because you guys don't really use that type of digital art or characters anymore. And other than just paying for the likeness if you needed to, people want it back so bad. It would be such an easy thing to do. And if anybody's showing you how it's done, Capcom is showing you how it's done, that you can play online again. And even though it's not balanced, obviously, people just want to play it online.
I think in that regard, I would want it to have both versions of Trilogy included, just because, like, you've got the different Marvel vs. Capcoms where it builds up the individual games and then everything together. It would be nice to have MK 1, 2, and 3 Ultimate, and then both the N64 and the PlayStation versions of Trilogy, because those did have significant differences, both in extra characters for the N64 one, which was only the chameleon character, I think, but also
and had
that
fatalities on N64.
Yeah, they had fatalities, but they also had the because it was a cartridge, Shang Tsung could turn into everybody. Like, you didn't have to pick and choose. But in the PlayStation version, you had to either pick who you were allowed to turn into, or it would wait and kind of load, so they could remove that loading time. So that'd be kind of an interesting version of it.
So yeah, possibilities are endless. Whether you want them all to be arcade ROMs, whether you want them to be all the console versions, they could just go the Capcom route, and those could just be the arcade ROMs. That's why there wouldn't be Trilogy in there.
I get you. Yeah, that would make sense.
But I would still be okay with that, especially if they're going to give us online, and just because there's those fatality demonstrations you can do, in the later ones, so you can show them off to friends. And I just think it would be a great old time. I miss Midway Arcade Treasures because there is no more Midway. So now it would just be WB Treasures. But
I think they still
It
own the
sounds
rights
really
to the
weird
name,
when you say it
so-
that way, Swan. Don't ever say
Yeah.
that again.
I'd also like to note, Pain did get a physical release. It's a UK version.
yeah,
It has most of the DLC included.
and it's
Everything else.
$200.
Oh, it is. Never mind. Shit.
I checked.
Damn. I was like, hey, that's at least something. Maybe we should find it. And you said that, and I went, never mind. Well, we got to watch me get just completely deflated about that right in real time. All right, Chase, what about you? What's your choice? Your answer to this?
I was thinking about it, and I would like to see the Punisher game come back to modern consoles. Actually, just talking about it being banned, get it back, because that was God, that game was so good. It's quite underrated.
It was. I have it on both, I think, PS2 and Xbox.
And was it Thomas Jane came back for the voice?
Yep.
Of it and stuff. So I would love to.
He's still one of my favorite Punishers.
Yeah. And then I didn't write the name down on the notes, but I'm saying it now just that was I cut Swan off at the pass. Bring me back Team Buddies, damn it.
Oh.
I'm still trying to find whatever the hell. I've purposely not looked at what kind of game this is. I've just been on the hunt for it everywhere I travel to because I want to experience whatever the hell this is that you were so mad about in real time.
So I'll try to keep the story semi-short, but
Go for it.
So the game Team Buddies, I had it back on PlayStation 1. Absolutely loved it. Like as a little kid, thought it was great fun. And then I sold it. And then lo and behold, I happened to come into I happened to be in the Game Vault store one day talking to my friend Swan here. And I said to him, I was like, there's this game for the PS1 that I had. I can't remember what it's called, but and then Swan's like, oh, this is my favorite game. He's like, hit me. What's it like? And I started telling him like, oh, the characters, they basically look like little like capsules, like pills. You know, they don't have arms or legs. And stuff, all this stuff. And then
up here.
and I was explaining the game to him, and he just like he went from looking at his phone to just all of a sudden like,
see if that shows.
You're not talking about Team Buddies, are you? Said, oh yeah, Team Buddies. That's exactly what it is. And he's like, that's like the most expensive game on PlayStation 1 now. I'm like, what?
So, fun fact, Chase. Team Buddies is a Sony IP now.
Oh, really?
Because it was developed by Psygnosis, but Psygnosis eventually became a subsidiary of Sony Entertainment. So it's a Sony IP. So if anybody will re-release it, it has to be Sony.
Oh, and Sony has no IPs that they can do anything with. God,
so they don't care to use it. That'll require the PlayStation Network login.
Like maybe one day you're gonna get the shock of your life, and they'll be like, PlayStation Classic Team Buddies is coming to PlayStation Extra, and you're like, I don't care how much the subscription costs. I'm upgrading to everything.
Oh man, there's copies going for $400. That's still sealed. So I can get it reasonably for 172 complete. I swear to God, if I do this just to see what's going on, it better be fun.
Ask him if he'll throw in Pain for a cool 200.
Yeah,
just even it out.
The look on
let's
Swan's
be honest,
face, though.
I'd pay it.
The look on Swan's face, though, when I was explaining the game to him, he's just like, because he knew, he's like, fuck, we've got another one in the club of selling off like really rare games that they had when they were younger.
Oh, I regret
it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh man. All right, so for me, the ones that immediately came to mind as soon as Steven typed this in the notes, I added my name and added it. X-Men Arcade, which was released back on 360, PlayStation 3, and was only out for a very short amount of time before they pulled the license and it just went away. As well as The Simpsons Arcade, which was another one that was a fantastic port, was a lot of fun to play, had online, everything was there, it was working great, and then just stopped. the license went away. They pulled it really fast without warning, and you just can't play them anymore unless you.
Your last one hits Chase and I right in the heart.
Me too, because this is one of my favorites. I'm glad I still have a Wii U for. The last game I chose was Affordable Space Adventures, which is one of the best uses of the Wii U I think ever made, where you can have up to 3 people controlling the ship. I would usually have the gamepad and be the engineer who controlled the engine thrust and shields and stuff. And then you would have somebody that would be using like a Wii remote or a pro, whatever the pro controller, whatever, to steer the ship. And then another person that would have another Wii remote or pro controller to fire the guns and weapons. And you would have to try and just stumble your way through these levels to get out of that area on it. But
I am happy to say that Chase and I and additional friends, we beat the whole game and all the DLC, and we wish it was physical so we could just keep it forever. But we only did the 2-player option because it was easier for Chase and I to just yell at each other.
We did, for game nights, we would do the full 3-player, and it was hectic as hell. As we're yelling, oh, turn the thrusters on. Oh, turn the shield. No, turn this engine, that engine, fire at this thing. Or, oh my God. So
I will say, while it's not the exact same experience, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time is amazing for people who love affordable space adventures.
I've been trying to get a good copy of it. I missed out on the physical, but at this point I might just get it digital if we start doing game nights again. I purposely went through, and please don't sue us, Nintendo. I modified a Wii U that has the entire collection of the disc base as well as the digital titles from all the regions on it in the Wii U store display, so that I can maintain these games. And I bought it legitimately. I have it on my normal 32 gig Wii U that's hooked up right now in the game room. But I wanted to make sure we still had that experience, because it is one of the games that I will show people to kind of get them to understand what was special about the Wii U. And I really do wish, just like you do, Steven, that it had a physical release, because that was such a great game. And it's one of those titles that they can't really bring back. Like you'd have to get, like, the closest thing I can think of them doing is like, if you buy it on, if they put it on Steam and you had a Steam Deck, maybe you could use the Steam Deck as an extra controller networked, but it still wouldn't be the same. So.
Yeah, there's another good one too, that also along the lines, but a little bit more internally involved, and that's called We Need to Go Deeper. It is extremely cheap on PC and Switch. It's another one where you're piloting a submarine with friends. You're seeing how deep you can go. We need to go deeper.
Right.
You play up to 4 players online. You can outfit your stuff. It's a unique art style, but there's little things like making sure there's no leaks, making sure that all the engines are working properly, running around. One person going up to steer to make sure they can go deeper. I've watched streamers play that game, and it was another title that, along the line of Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time and The King, Affordable Space Adventures, were all that kind of like mentality where you're working together.
I'm trying to see if the developer Napnot Games, like, I don't know if they still make anything. I'm not seeing anything for them now, which is very sad, because that was such a great game. Oh man, that's why I hate whenever digital stores go away, because you do lose stuff like that. Like that needs to find a way out there. All right, well, I think we've answered that one fairly well about some games we wanted to see come back. That seems like we'll pretty much wrap up the show. So let me, that way at least I can notate and add the message. So if you want to find us online, you can go to zenspath.com, where we have the updated stuff there for both the video and the audio version of the show. The audio version you can find wherever you find your podcast by just searching for the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast itself. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, rate us. We greatly appreciate that, as it helps get more people to listen to the show. Share it with people as well if you enjoy yourself. If you're listening to this and you want to see the video version, that can be found over at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. Basically just zenspath.com without the period. leave us a comment, answer the big question. We enjoy getting that response on there. You can also watch some of our other videos, which include, some of the stuff I record, some of the things we stream, and go from that. If you want to talk to us directly, the best way to do so is over on our Discord, which you can find at bit.ly. It's bit.ly/Zenspath Discord, all one word. And that's where Steven, Chris, Rachel, Chase, myself, and others get together, talk about what we're playing, what we're watching, what we're collecting, photography, all kinds of stuff. And just kind of a fun way to get a hold of us. We have some of our things you can find on different social medias, but you can find a lot of that through the Discord as well. And we have a link tree that is listed over at zenspath.com. All right. Well, I've been your host, Jeremy Powers. This has been episode 146, and we are out. Peace.
Remember, if you download this podcast, you do not own it.
I own it, though.